Hello, my name is Donald Thompson, and I'm here with my good friend and creative partner, Bob Batchelor. And we're going to talk to you today about So You Want to Write a Book. A lot of times, as emerging executives, business leaders, people with a story to tell, you often ask yourself, should I write a book? One of the things that we're going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal experience and perspective, but more of the time today is going to be seeking and gaining knowledge from a prolific writer, storyteller, and communicator. Throughout Bob's experience, he's participated in over 100 books that have been published. Whether it's the 15 that he's written, whether it's the 30 to 40 that's been part of the editorial team, or the folks that he's counseled. And I'm one of the people that is a testimonial to working with Bob, working with his creative process in writing a book so that my story could be told. We're also going to talk about it from a couple different perspectives. We're going to talk about if you want to build a legacy, if you want to build thought leadership, if you want to build something that builds brand. There are a lot of reasons that you would write a book. And so we're going to unpack some of those things today with Bob Batchelor. So Bob, welcome. And it's always good to chat with you.
Thanks, Don. I'm super excited to be here. It's a great topic. It's one that you and I both get asked all the time, daily almost. And so the questions are always kind of focused around the same area. So I think it'll really help people today.
And that's the goal. The goal is to help you not only decide should you move forward, but the details and the underpinning of the how, and then the return on investment that you're going to see. So the goal is for you to get maximum value out of this. And we're going to go ahead and jump in. So Bob, just to get us started, and then we'll chat it up and keep going. You've shaped over 100 books. Why do you believe authorship is such a game changer for today's executive?
I think, for one, executives need to have a thought leadership platform, because thought leadership drives authenticity, it drives trust. And those two things, if we take it then beyond just executives, if we look at upcoming leaders, rising stars, we look across professions, so people in different types of organizations, you look at authenticity and trust. And how do you drive those in a world filled with noise, a lot of negativity, a lot of thumbs up and thumbs down kind of environment?
That social media minute person, environment.
Yeah. And so those things really become important as you're thinking about a book, about generating thought leadership, about the way you tell your story so that you own that story, not somebody else telling your story for you.
That is really powerful. The thing that I would extend that in my personal experience is you want your reputation to be in the room before you get there. And so when you write a book, when you focus on thought leadership, and this applies to my full-time job as managing director for Workplace Options Center of Organizational Excellence, or the things that I do in my consulting practice, you want a way for people to get to know you before they're having to evaluate you. And so one of the things that, Bob, you talk about a lot is building trust. How do books help you, writing a book, writing in a very serious way, how do they help you build trust with the audiences you're trying to reach?
I think one of the main things is that people just respect books. Even in a world in which AI and ebooks and Kindles and all this kind of thing, people love books. And so books remain kind of a trophy almost. So I was talking with a leader the other day, and we are going through her story. She has a fascinating story. She has a model for her expertise area that's innovative, it's new, it's big enough to be held in a book. It's kind of that big idea. Mm-hmm. But as we were talking, she said to me, I love all this, but I've also just always wanted to write a book. And so you can't take that kind of real pride that people have for writing a book. You can't take it for granted. Books are kind of the foundational piece. And it's encompasses a lot of different ideas, but it's a great way to put what you've learned, where you've come from, your journey, all in one place. Mm-hmm. Because we could blog every day. I could blog 3 times a day.
That's right.
But I'm not going to reach the same kind of readers and the number of readers potentially that I could reach when my book comes together.
No, that's powerful. What about for those in our audience that says, but I'm not a writer. I hear everything you're saying. I hear the value of it. I hear what I'm going to get from it. I agree, but I'm not a writer. What is the thought process they should take into this type of project?
Well, I'll give you my flippant answer first, just because I have to.
Yeah, you just got to get it out.
There are a lot of people who have written bestsellers that the first time they read that book is the day it's published. So that's the under the carpet answer to that.
Yep.
But the real answer is this. Not everybody has a superpower for writing. But I've worked with dozens of business people, business leaders who can tell their story. They're proud of their story.
That's right.
Why should I expect somebody who's a CEO at the top of their industry? They've built this amazing career for themselves, their families, their communities. They're hiring they're hiring people. They're giving people a chance to live their dream.
Yep.
Why should I expect that person can be an A+ level professional writer? That's silly. Like, how many speechwriters did Barack Obama have? So you have a team. The best television shows, the best films are written by writing rooms. And for some reason, over time, people have thought, well, a book needs to be written by a person, when everything else in popular culture is written by teams. And so
that's good stuff.
I think that if you have a story to tell, you have a drive to tell your organization story, your personal journey, whatever it is, find a person to help you bring that dream to reality.
I think that's great advice. And the thing I want to seize on is focus on the story you want to tell. And do you believe that the world will be better off if that story is told to more people? Mm-hmm. And then focus on the how to achieve it, right? And I think that is super powerful, because there are people that can thoughtfully, cost effectively help you on the journey, but you have to make the decision that it's worth it to do, mm-hmm. right? And then you'll find the steps that you need. What are some of the motivations you hear when talking with business executives about the approach to writing a book? Some of the business reasons why, some of the ways that they can see the return on their business, the value prop, if you will.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It's always foremost in people's minds.
Yeah.
What's my return on investment? And there have been recent studies done by independent author group in combination with a ghostwriter association. And they showed in their survey results that routinely the return on investment for a book is 10x to 20x of your investment. That's routinely, because a book, as you said, walks in the room before you. One of the things that you and I talked about a while back is that people research you. People put you into chat. People will put you into Google. Business people are smart, and they don't want to be caught not knowing something. So I'm going to research you, and what more could I have than the book you've written? And I see that, and I can order that on Amazon. You and I have traded dozens of, hey, Don, I read this book. You're like, hey, Bob, I read this book. Let's talk about this.
Yep.
It's an instant credibility. And who doesn't want instant credibility? The book speaks for you when you're not there. It's an amazing way to think about the return. Flip it a little bit from just a typical, I put $1 in and I get $20 back.
Yep. I think that it's, I want to extend that for a minute, and I'll use a recent example. You've helped me, and I've had a lot of folks help me on my personal branding for the last few years. And it's one of the things I've invested in, because I just believed what you have taught me and some others, that the halo effect you have as a leader helps any of the businesses that you touch. Mm-hmm. And a good friend of mine gave me a call and said that they had a consulting opportunity they wanted to talk to me about. It was going to be great for the company that I work with. But they wanted to, just kind of check and see if the profile fit. And they asked a few questions. And then they were going to get me with a very senior leader at a multi-billion-dollar business. And one of the things that they did in the introductory email to this person is reference my book, mm-hmm. books I've written on inclusive leadership, articles that I've written. And that was part of the introduction to this conversation that could mean a lot of dollars, mm-hmm. right, to the things that I represent. And so one of the things that I think people cheat themselves is it's not they don't believe enough of themselves. It's that they don't think for the long term,
Yeah.
right? And they're always focused on the next viral video or the next thing that they're supposed to do there, whereas books are enduring.
Mhm.
And it's something that can grow your brand for the long term as a business leader.
Yeah, let me jump in on that.
Yeah,
I
please.
think that the way that authors talk about it and agents and people in publishing is they talk about a platform. And so you have to think as a leader, you're trying to build a platform for all the good things you can do. Every leader has different motivations. You might be at a point in your career where getting that C-suite title is your motivation. You might have a secondary or co-motivation of you want your family to live a certain kind of lifestyle. You may want these things so you can go out and lead a fundraising campaign for people who need charitable organizations.
Yep.
They're all kind. You may just want to employ people, lead a company. I mean, it's an amazing thing. But as you think about that platform, what are the main pillars? You know, you think about like a peer, and lots of other people now know that I just started at Coastal Carolina University as an assistant professor. So my wife and I have been taking our dog Clifton down to the ocean, and we there's a big pier. And as I was thinking about this conversation of a platform, I'm thinking about the pier. There are main kind of legs, pillars of that pier that keep everything together. Hurricane could hit, but that pier is not going to collapse past this point. A book can be that centerpiece, that foundational piece that no matter where you're at in your career, where you want to go, even if it's looking back and the legacy that you want to have, you want your grandchildren and their grandchildren to know who you were and what was important to you during your life. That's a foundational piece. And that book is something nobody can ever take it away from you.
So those are some of the things we've been talking about as the why. And then we talked about a little bit the ROI. What are some of the things when people are thinking about their ideas? How do they evaluate if they have an idea, a story that's big enough for a book, right? How do they think about that in a real way?
I totally understand that question. Big enough for a book. You think, oh, this, it's got to be this, 100,000 word tome, and it's got to have lasting power into the next century or something. I try to coach people that it doesn't have to, there isn't one form. That's an important thing for leaders to think about. For a book to become a print book, it needs to be about 25 to 30,000 words, because that's kind of the minimum for printing as a paperback. Most books are probably in the 60 to 75,000 word category, up to 95,000 words. But there are books in all those different kind of ranges.
That's right.
Harvard Business Review does these little tiny books now, purposely small enough that somebody could get on a plane in New York and read that book by the time they get to LA. And what they've done is they've scooped out the best articles on a topic and put them in book form so that to get that information to somebody.
Yep.
So there's a lot of different forms that a book can take and a lot of different ways. So is your idea big enough? Well, you'll never know if you're not in the game playing the game. You've got to get that idea out. And it's amazing what can happen. A great book can save lives. A great book can change people's perspectives. There's good reason why every candidate that runs for president puts out a book. It's a marker. I stand for this. My life has meant this. I dream to go here.
Yep.
And when a business person at any level, whether you want to be regionally, locally famous, whether you want to be nationally or internationally famous, the idea is to think, what are my aspirations? And how can this piece help me achieve that next level? And you never know until you do it. It's one of those things. You and I joke about sports analogies and we use them. I think about, like, if you're playing baseball and you left your glove at home, you don't get to play. You have to have your glove. You got to get in the game, and then who knows what happens? Maybe you hit the game-winning home run in the bottom of the ninth.
That's right.
So
that's good stuff. Let's get even a little bit more granular.
Yep.
Right. And you've said this to me a lot, right? Writing a book is about the clarity, the alignment, and then the growth. Talk about how you build out your book strategy.
Mhm. Yeah. For me, and I would counsel people to do this, think of a book in 3 stages. So you have the idea to a first draft. Okay, so you have from the first time you think about the book until you actually, if somebody's put fingers on keyboard and you've got it there. The second stage is from first draft to finished product. That's a lot of work. The third part is production. So how do you get a Google Doc or a Word doc from in that computer to, on a shelf somewhere or on a virtual shelf? So think about it in 3 stages. And that makes it perhaps a little less daunting, but you need help along the way.
Yep.
You need to have somebody coaching, counseling, helping you along each one of those paths. It could potentially be the same person, because each piece has its own difficulty level. The first level, that can be tough, but with a team or with the right writers, you can get through that. You can get through the second. The third part, there's options. Some people want to self-publish because they want control of the process. Some people want to work with a hybrid publisher because they want a partner that's going to lead them through. Other people want the gravitas of publishing with like HarperCollins or Knopf.
Yep.
But there isn't one right path. In the last 5 years, you and I, we've worked with traditional publishers,
Yep.
hybrid publishers,
That's right,
and self-publish. All 3. And we've had huge successes in each piece. When you think about the average book across all books sells 200 to 300 copies in its first year. If you look at what we've accomplished, magnitudes beyond that in each realm.
Yep.
So it's not like I had some kind of magic key.
Yep.
I didn't come to you and say, Don, I've got a secret here. It's just being thoughtful about each stage in the process.
One of the things I want to share with the audience is how we did some of this in practice, a little more granular. So there's a book that was more of a leadership memoir that was underestimated, and it was about my CEO journey, a little bit about me. And then there was a book that we did with Kurt Merriweather and folks at the diversity movement on inclusive leadership. And that book spelled out the 7 competencies that we believe make an inclusive leader. And we leveraged that book in our consulting practice. We leveraged that book to drive hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, because when people read that book, either in print or on PDF, we came across with a higher degree of credibility, and people could evaluate us as individuals attached to a brand, and then they wanted to do business with that brand. And so those of you that are listening that are more like me, you're not looking for legacy, you're looking for, how do I use this book to grow my brand, to win in the marketplace, right? It comes back to the thing that Bob shared, that people are going to do their research. What are you giving them to do the best research on about you as an individual and the organization that you represent? And that's one of the things that we've seen really good success. And I'll say this last thing, and then I've got some more questions for you. I'm doing a speaking engagement in Brussels in November based on one of the curators of the event seeing that book, calling me up, waiving all the fees, handling the expenses, and now I'm going out of the country because we did that book.
Yeah.
And there's no way I would have had that kind of reach unless we put ourselves out there to do that. And now I can represent workplace options in an even bigger scale because of those small fundamental blocking and tackling things that we did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a person can benefit from a book at every part of their journey. And people are filled with such amazing stories. I mean, think about the rise of reality television. I mean, in our adult lives, we have grown up with reality television.
And they make a ton of money.
Love them or hate them.
That's right.
People watch because everybody wants a peek inside somebody else's medicine cabinet. And a book doesn't have to be scandalous. But if there's a leader in my community and that person has, universal respect from others, I want to know their journey. And if you look at Fortune and Forbes and Business Week and the magazines, that there's no coincidence that a profile is what leads every month.
That's right.
The 50 most powerful women in business. Oh, okay, I want to read this.
That's right.
I don't want to just know their titles. How did they get there? What did they do differently? What are they doing now to reach down and help the next generation up? And that alone, when we go back to, is my idea big enough? What bigger idea could you have? If you're a woman C-suite leader and you write your story and it inspires somebody else at your college, in your town, it could be your future mentee, it could be somebody who interns at your company, and you've reached down and pulled them up. I mean, that's priceless.
One, I agree. Two, I've experienced a lot of what you're describing. And three, back to like, how do people take the book project and now repurpose that content across different channels?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite topics, because I think that, to me, everything's content.
That's right.
I mean, the world
That's right.
I look at the world from a content perspective. And my favorite word in the English language might be reuse, because a book project has so many derivatives. That's why it's the platform on the pier. It's the foundation piece, because in the process of creating that book, whether it's 35,000 or 95,000 words, you're going to have interview transcripts. You could potentially be doing this via podcast. You could be blogging. You could take your best ideas and write them up as op-eds or articles and get them out into the world to test your ideas. And the whole time, that entire process, you're building a thought leadership campaign. And it's thoughtful and it can be integrated. Here's another thing. The best part of reuse. People often forget this. It's not just talking to the outside world. If you're a leader, you've got X number of people who are looking to you every day.
Inside your
own company. They want to know. They want to be led by somebody they respect and look up to.
Bob, I want to jump in on this. This has happened a couple of times in kind of my day-to-day work. Is I'll talk with, I'm part of now a global organization, and learning that and different things is super fun. But I'll meet people that we're working on a project, we're pitching a deal in France, or we're working on something in the UK, and they'll say, Don, this is my first time on a call with you, right? But I read your book. This is the first time I'm on a call with you, but I saw that webinar you did. I followed you on LinkedIn. And whether it is inside or outside of your organization, you're building credibility by delivering high quality content that people can learn from. And ultimately, as business leaders, right, our wins are driven by the credibility we have, so people hear our messaging.
Yes.
Right. And people don't let you demonstrate what you can do until they believe you can do. And the book and the branding and the articles and that work is back to that peer analogy you described, right? Is building that brand platform. Mm-hmm. And that's something that, yes, it takes work, but here's the thing I do want to say. Don't try to do it alone.
Exactly.
A lot of people are like, well, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. Well, one of the reasons I don't have a Rolls Royce, I've done pretty well. I put money in things that are going to further my brand before I put things in a car, a bigger house, all that stuff. Now, that's just me. But in thinking for the long term, how you invest your extra resources as an individual, and then also see this all the time when I'm looking at marketing plans and strategies for organizations. They usually don't have a book strategy in it.
Yeah.
Harvard does, but you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Deloitte does, but you don't.
Yeah, look at McKinsey. They built an entire 100+ year legacy based on content. Yeah.
Right. And so that knowledge power that you have within your organization is an untapped repository, right, of power and how you can win against the competition. And I don't know why we're telling everybody this. Actually, but anyway, we need to keep this good.
You sparked a major point for me when you mentioned repository, because I am a professor. I'm a strategic communications counselor. I ghostwrite. I do a lot of things. But my vision of myself is as a cultural historian. And
That's right.
early in my career, I worked for a company called the History Factory. We helped companies use their history and heritage to further today's goals and future goals. So, for example, Kimberly-Clark hired us to help them celebrate their 125th anniversary as an organization. I mean, that's a gigantic milestone, 125 years.
Yep.
They were also buying Scott Paper at that same time. So they were bringing Scott Paper into the fold. And this had been one of their major competitors for almost 100 years. So we were tasked with celebrating this anniversary, but we called it back then a core research document. We needed a book that outlined everything that was professionally done so that we knew whenever we wanted to celebrate a certain date, that was the date. And whenever we want to talk about an opening in the first office in Mexico, that the facts were right. But then we started compiling stories. Then we started putting them on the website. Then we started going to different locations and celebrating. A company's history and its heritage is its most authentic bit of content. It's something nobody else has. And one of the naysay kind of things that executives say to me is, I don't want this to be about me. It's ego. I don't want to tell my story. I'm all about the company. Well, your company's history is your best way to tell the story that you then become a part of, but it's not you at the center. It's the organization. And I've done everything from write books for companies, pamphlets, brochures about their history. I helped a company develop a one-room museum. I've done this many times. Help them develop displays for their entryways,
Yep.
large room, small room. Heritage is huge. And in today's day and age where you can make video in a cost-effective way, everybody loves documentary. I mean, if you've been on YouTube,
Yep.
YouTube is just
right.
a million documentaries. So there are so many different ways. So it goes back to reuse, foundational information, building out a platform, a way for an executive to wrap their mind around this without it being about them. So history content, books, it all puts a nice tidy bow around that idea.
No, that is powerful. A couple of things I wanted to share with the audience. One, you can connect with Bob or I on LinkedIn, and we're happy to help folks if we're available, if we're the right folks to support you. Number one. Number two, we're going to spend some time on some question and answers in a little bit. So if you want to get those into the chat and different things like that, you can do that as we finish up with the last handful of questions. One of the things that I'd like you to think about or answer, Bob, time. People use that as an excuse not to write a book. So talk about that a little bit. And then also, right, what are the kind of next steps once they decide to do it, right? So let's say that we're getting through to a handful of folks and they're like, you know what, I'm ready to do it, right? I understand the business use case. I understand the legacy for me and my family. I understand the corporate history aspect. And they pick one of those for them and they're ready to go. What do they do next?
Yeah, it's a great question. I like to think, okay, so when you go through the publishing process traditionally into a traditional publishing house, you have to create a proposal.
Okay.
Two parts of the proposal are really important. One is you have to find comparable books and talk about why your book's different. Second, you have to come up with a sample table of contents.
Okay.
It's not the final table of contents, it's a sample. I would say use those two ideas to flesh out your ideas.
Got it.
Because if you go and look at books you think are comparable, it'll give you an idea of the landscape. If you just go and look at the top 50 books in a category on Amazon, it's going to give you a sense of what's out there. If you decide to self-publish and you hire a cover designer, it's going to give you some ideas on how it should look. And then, to me, a table of contents is almost like an outline. And if you can come up with a rough table of contents Then you can start thinking about the word count. And I would say, shoot for 60,000 words, backtrack from there. You're going to have 10 chapters. There's going to be an introduction and conclusion. That's 12 pieces of that book, 60,000 words. Each one's got to be 5,000 words. Take chapter 1, divide it into 4 parts, make subtitles. Each one of those subtitles is going to be 800 to 1,000 words. That's the genius of writing a book. And I just gave it away for free. But it takes time to hone that.
Yep.
And it takes time to come up with those pieces. But if you're already kind of looking into the abyss and saying, I think I can do this, then you should be energized by that kind of perspective, because your journey matters. That's what I would want people to think about. Your journey matters. Where you're at matters. The book can help you achieve goals that you may not even have written down or fully thought out.
Yep.
You don't know until you do it. Other people are going to be very like, yeah, I got it. I know what I want to do. Okay, then it's time to roll. Let's get the comparables. Let's get the table of contents, and put a team together. Because the one thing that we haven't talked about, and we can spend more time if you want on this.
No, please.
While you're doing these things, it's not linear. You can be doing a lot of different things at one time. If you feel strongly about a title and you feel strongly about how this book should look, you can get a book designer working on it right away. And if you want help finding a book designer, cover designer, I can help you, and I'll do that for free, because I know some people who need the work. So,
but I'm going to jump in. I'm going to interrupt for a minute. He mentioned free, and then I got this allergic reaction. I started to get hives, right? Because I'm the business guy. Yeah, I'll do it for free. But in all honesty, that's how you and I met.
Yeah. So the point is, you can be creating your go-to-market while the book is being written.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so how Don and I met, we have a mutual friend. I worked with him back in the .com
Bob
days.
Shout out Bob.
A phenomenal PR executive.
Mm-hmm.
And he made 2 calls. He called Don, and I guess you two were talking about a book, and you said, I'm stuck. I need some help. Bob Osmond said, I know a guy. Calls me, says, will you meet with this guy? I'm like, bah, sure. I was busy at the time. I'm writing my own books.
15 books in. He's super famous. But like, I get it.
I'm like, yeah, I'll meet with him, because you were running Walk West at the time. So I'm like, yeah, this is a cool digital agency. I love the communications process. I think I'll learn something from this guy. Maybe we'll work together on some things. We had an hour conversation over Zoom, and that launched a 5-year process and a friendship and a working relationship, a creative partnership.
Yep.
All because of Bob Osmond. So thank you, Bob. That was huge and helped us get where we needed to go. But, the book it's just a centerpiece. That's always the way to think about it.
So let me add to this. I'm a pretty confident individual. Done a few things business-wise in my life and different things, but I'd never written a book. So it was new territory. And so what Bob doesn't know is I had started it. I'd worked with different things. I'd put it on the shelf. I had fits and starts, and I had all of this doubt that I was using busyness and different things to not really get it over the finish line. Mm-hmm. And so when I talked to Bob, he did 2 things that were really important. Number 1, he gave me great advice, right, in thinking through the process. But number 2, I borrowed his courage, because at the end of the call, I don't know if you remember this, he's like, you shouldn't let this story go untold, because I told you a little bit about the book and what we were trying to accomplish. And I borrowed his courage, that little jolt of energy, electricity from somebody that had been there, done that was already on the mountain I wanted to climb, was super helpful in pushing me and propelling me forward. And then the second thing that it did, and this is hugely critical, when we were building in 2000 the diversity movement and thinking about how we were going to launch this business, one of the reasons that we were very confident in our ability to succeed, is we weren't talking about diversity, equity, inclusion from just a consulting or a do-good standpoint. We wanted to really link and tie what we were doing to the business outcomes. And I know President Trump's killing DEI and all that stuff, but this is how we grew a multi-million-dollar business with an education-first sales strategy and we grew from 0 to 150 clients in 2 years. So it doesn't matter what the business was, that matters. And one of the critical things we did early on is we hired Bob, a storyteller, in advance of our ability to do it, because we understood that storytelling was going to be critical to this business because there's so much noise in the market. How do you get known? How do you get seen?
Mhm.
How do you get cited? And so because of that, we probably won 10 to 15 awards throughout the process and what we were doing in innovation, right? Bob wrote the profile for me when we applied for EY Entrepreneur of the Year. And we were very fortunate to be selected for that. So what we're talking about is books, but we're also talking about your mental model as a business leader and how content and content strategy and your content supply chain is going to help you grow and outpace the competition without adding untold resource, untold number of people. And it was those smart invests, tons of things I didn't do right. This isn't about that. But one of the key things we did well is pairing Bob with Jackie Ferguson to create an unbelievable content engine. Two of the best content professionals that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And we got them under one roof in a small little upstart company, and we built a content platform that I am very, very proud of.
Yeah.
And excited that others could duplicate if they take the secret sauce, but if not, then we're going to beat you in the marketplace. And it's fine. Don't worry about it.
What I remember distinctly from the phone call and then our subsequent phone calls is you didn't have to trust me. But our first phone call, we kind of level set on authenticity. And we talked about the goals of the project.
That's right.
By the second phone call, and it may be the end of the first phone call, I just said, hey, man, look, between you and me, you made some major errors here. And I would fix them doing X, Y, Z. And going back to trust and authenticity, you trusted me. We had established a baseline of authenticity, and then you trusted me. And that's where you want to get with your team that helps you write a book.
That's right.
It's not puffery. It's not publicity. It's not that old version of PR that's icky that people don't like anymore. It's serious. It's thought-provoking. It's creating a platform that matters.
Love that.
It's all the good things for whatever reason that you're doing it. Whether it's driving leads for your solopreneur consulting, whether it's to get you on a board seat, whether it's to get you on your third board seat, whether it's to establish the legacy for your family and generations of your family. There are lots of different reasons, but that relationship with your team, whether it's a ghostwriter and a team of people, one person, 10 people, whatever your thing happens to be, go back to trust and authenticity. So that's another factor that I would add. Trust and authenticity with that team.
Yep.
Table of contents, comparable books, the book that what would you like your book to be similar to? Not the same as, similar to.
Yeah. We were talking to a business leader that was on the fence about doing a book or not, and they said all kinds of reasons why not. And sometimes that just means it's not for you, and that's fine. Like it's cool. But we broke it down really simply at a certain point and said, can you talk about your story, right, in front of a camera or in front of a microphone? Well, sure. Well, what if you talked for a few hours? We helped you do the research. We put together a draft for you. You approve it. You talk for a few more hours and you just answer questions about your life. And most people can answer questions about their life, right? So at the end of the day, it comes back to, do you see the business value in doing it? Do you want to work with the right team that can help you do it? And are you willing to put in a reasonable amount of time to get that big payoff? And as I do consulting work and executive coaching and different things that I enjoy doing, And people ask all the time, Don, how do you do all this stuff? Because I don't actually try to do everything myself. That's like rule number one as a sidebar. I really like to find great folks to partner with in anything that I'm interested in. And then we do things together, and you have this thing called leverage.
Yeah.
In what we're doing. So Kia, our producer, I want to ask her a quick question. How are we doing on time? And do you have any questions, or we want to start winding down?
We're ready for Q&A.
All right. So we'll let you guide us on Q&A.
Yeah, and I'd like to
I'll
just
give you a couple.
add a point in on what you're saying. I always think about it like this. In Tiger Woods' great run, all those major victories, he had a swing coach. Greg Maddux, arguably one of the greatest pitchers of all time, had a pitching coach every single year of his career. Nolan Ryan, who I love and just worship, a pitching coach changed his life. We don't expect anybody who's a professional to go it alone, but yet there's this nagging thought that when somebody says they want to write a book, that they've got to do it by themselves.
That's right.
It just makes no sense.
Yeah.
And it's not sad that more people don't write books. It's sad that people let that get to them. And they say to themselves, well, I'm not a writer. I can't write a book. As you said, can you talk into a voice recorder? Can you answer questions? Can you talk with a person who's a professional at this and shape an understanding? Like you said, executives can do that. Leaders can do that. They spend their lives doing that.
Yep.
So
that's awesome. Kia, we'll turn it over to you and
All
see what
right.
questions you got.
First question, what advice would you give to an executive on where to start if they're feeling overwhelmed with the writing process?
Yeah, if you've already started and you're feeling overwhelmed, it's a great time to get a coach. It does not have to be expensive. It does not have to be an expensive thing. You're not undertaking necessarily just to look. I used to be a fairly decent weekend golfer. I started getting the shanks. I couldn't hit it well. I went to a swing coach, one lesson, and he straightened me out. Next time out, broke 80. So it's that one thing. If you're already writing and you've hit a wall, find somebody to help you.
That's right.
Sometimes I don't have problems writing anymore, but I have problems in other parts of my leadership makeup.
Yep.
And that's usually when I get you on the phone or on Zoom and I'm like, hey, Don, I got this problem.
Yep.
I just need to vent a little bit. I need your perspective.
That's right.
So there are writing coaches. You don't have to hire a ghostwriter to get you through a thing if you're already writing. You know, there are little shows go through this. The writing teams change over the years.
Absolutely.
Television and movies go through this based on a lot of different factors. So the advice is, you know, find somebody to help you, change up some things a little bit, see if that breaks through the whatever the barrier is, and keep rolling.
Oh, that's great. Next one.
What should authors be thinking before they publish?
Well, platform. An author should be always thinking about platform. They should be thinking about, who do I know that can help me get the word out about this book?
Yeah.
How do I maximize what's in my head and not have that imposter syndrome or fear that keeps a lot of people from talking? Because everybody said, well, I can't do PR because I don't want to talk about myself. It goes back to that thing with executives not wanting it to be about them. Well, at some point, you have to go out and talk about the book. It's just that, and that go-to-market doesn't have to be hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it needs to be thoughtful.
That's right.
What can you do with, if it's by yourself, if it's with a small team, if it's with a large team? It's being thoughtful, being as thoughtful with the go-to-market as you are with the crafting of the book. The number one thing I'll say, and we haven't touched on this directly, but I want to say it directly.
Sure.
I want everybody to hear me. Quality is the number one thing always. The book in its final, when it hits the shelves, virtual or otherwise, that book needs to be as perfect as you can make it, because that is what people are going to look at.
That's right.
You do not want to put out a half-assed book.
So I'm gonna jump in, right? Because there's all of these tools now, and I'm here for it. If you want to talk about AI, I'm here for it. Taking the courses, taking the learning, it's accelerating my time to value in so many different things, right? But you need a human touch to define what excellence looks like, what it feels like, what it sounds like, how it lands. And don't be confused with people that are going to give you an end-to-end AI process, and then you put out something that hurts your brand.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's make sure that we're having the right conversation in terms of not only quality, but quality because you're trying to impact people in a positive way. We're not talking about building book as a part of your brand strategy as some kind of gimmick. We're talking about a way to build trust, authenticity, so that you can rise in your career, represent your organization better, stronger, faster.
Yeah. And what people wouldn't know about me is you would expect me to be, because of my PhD in English literature, because of 15 books, because of 19 books edited, hundreds of books created through my aura and the work that I've done with other people, that I would be anti-AI. But I am in one of the top 1 or 2% AI power users, especially when it comes to creativity. And I know that AI cannot write a book. It cannot. It can help somebody around the edges and in some important ways, but it cannot write a book. So if somebody's promising you, I can give you a book in 9 days or some ridiculous shit like that, then that's crazy. It's not going to be the book that sets your foundation of your platform for now and in the future.
That's right.
It's important. Quality.
Yep.
It's quality. It's quality every time.
Next one.
Continuing the conversation about publishing, and this is for both of you. Why publish now when reading is declining?
Oh, I love this one. Thank you so much. Reading is declining by whom? The executives I want to talk to still read long form content. They still read things that help them level up with their mindset. They still read white papers. They still read books. So when you look at where book reading is declining, you got to look at who you're trying to influence. And so for me personally, because I'm targeting the top 1%ers. I'm targeting the movers and shakers in any industry that I want to touch or be a part of. The reason we're doing this as a give back is because if we support you in writing your book and you're an executive, at some point you're going to ask me what else I do. At some point, we're going to find some other things to rock with. So I can spend time sharing what I've learned writing my book with Bob and the team. I can give you that information, right? We can develop a relationship, trust, support each other. And I can learn about your story. And guess what you're going to do? Hey, DT, what else do you do? Man, you seem like you're into a lot of stuff. And we can figure out ways that new relationship that's built on trust can grow in other ways. And that's why content is strategic in everything that I do. But that's why I'm still into the book process, the book journey, is because I'm targeting the top 1% of learners and movers and shakers in this world. And those folks are still information hungry. And they're not just looking for the soundbite, they're looking for the strategy. And that's the reason why I did. I'll let you answer, but that's my thought process.
And I'll give you the soundbite. Smart people read books. End of sentence.
Next question. Got to give you a little mic to drop. But we got these new boom mics that the crew got, and I'm loving it.
All right. How do you push past your particular book topic or interest area that's been oversaturated with various perspectives? And there's a two-part to this one.
Okay.
Or is that a time to tackle another topic from a different perspective?
So, Bob, you go ahead.
No, it's interesting. I mean, if you've got multiple topics, there may be a time when one topic is just the smarter one to pursue. Like, I'm not going to write. I said I'm a power user. I'm an AI power user from day one. I do the studies. I read the studies. I'm not going to write a book about how to use AI because it's not the right time. It will be inconsequential by the time it goes through the publishing process. But if I were to write a book about the early history of AI, I think a lot of people would be really interested in that.
Or if you were to write a book on AI adoption.
Exactly.
Right. So yes, what Bob said, and you have to make sure you have a meaningful differentiator in the book that you're writing, even on a topic that's relevant. So you could flip that and make that negative a positive. And this is the sales in me, right? Because I want to go this way, right? So if people are talking about a topic then that means there's a high concentration of people that are thinking about this topic. And then your goal is to find a nuance to that topic. So if everybody's talking about AI, how to use AI, XYZ, what people are not talking about, not good at, not have enough good use cases is how do you adopt AI into your business strategy? How do you adopt AI without scaring people, but empowering them? And so now you can talk about the education components of AI. Now you can talk about how people can be job accelerated, right, in their career by using AI. But you're still talking about the technology, but you're now talking about the adoption within an organization, which makes it slightly different. And so I'm doing some speaking and training on AI adoption, but I'm not going out and doing speaking and training on AI broadly.
Right. Yeah, it's a great example. I would say, it's bounce the ideas off people who read, who you admire, who are smart, bounce your ideas off them and see what sticks. I mean, people, if you're pitching a movie or a TV show, they want one sentence or two sentences. What's your elevator? Do the same thing for your book. Come up with the elevator pitch and then tell 30 people and see, A/B test it. We're always talking about testing and learning. So test it and find out. People love to talk about ideas. Say, hey, I've got an idea for a book. I'm thinking about this and this. Make it a straw poll.
Yep. Next one. We got.
Right. We have a little under 10 minutes left.
Okay.
Can you break down the difference between the publishing models, traditional, hybrid, or self-publishing? And I'll add to this, what's your preferred?
Okay, great question and great addition to it. I do not have a preferred model. There are reasons to go with each model. Traditional publishing is with usually a large publisher. It doesn't have to be, it could be an independent publisher. But that is a situation in which, let's just focus on nonfiction. You've written a proposal, you send that proposal, usually people get an agent, the agent submits the proposal to a lot of different publishing house editors, and they thumbs up or thumbs down it. And if they thumbs up it, depending on the house, they give you an advance, they give you a deadline, and you go off and write the book. You turn it in, it goes through the process. That's traditional. Random House, Knopf, Bloomsbury, all those kinds. Hybrid, same level of excellence expected, but the author and the publisher are partnering. And so there may be no advance and you're splitting the royalties. Or there may be different pieces of it that it's more of a financial
Structure.
Partnership, structure. Self-publishing, you take on every piece of it. And if you have somebody like me in your corner, you're going to get self-publishing that looks like a publishing company.
That's right.
But there aren't a lot of people like me that can lead you through that end to end. The good thing about self-publishing is you get the control. The bad thing about self-publishing is you get the control. Because what used to happen in the early days, people would self-publish a book and they'd order 10,000 copies and put them in their garage. And 3 years later, 9,950 of them would still be sitting there.
Yeah.
And you're bearing all the burden. Now, technology has changed that. Self-publishing doesn't have as many financial challenges, but you still are paying along the way.
That's right.
You're paying for that cover if you want to do it professionally. And I'm sure the people in our audience want to do it professionally. You need help along the way, but you have control. If you're a big time speaker and 3 times a year, you can convince somebody, give each person in your organization that's at this national conference, give them each a book. There's 10,000 people there in exchange for my speaking fee. Hey, that's not a bad way to get a book out into the world. And say it becomes a bestseller, you're going to get more of the revenue on the back end.
Yep.
So those are basically the differences. Kia, did I catch all the pieces of that?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have 5 minutes left. And the last question, how do you balance staying true to your original vision while still being open to feedback?
I think you're saying the answer in the question. Your original vision is yours, and you don't really want to stray with that. How do you execute and amplify that vision is where you need to be open to new ideas, right? Because there are people that have produced, that have marketed, that have written, that can help you shape and narrate that story for the audience you're trying to reach. So I don't advocate changing your vision. That's what makes it yours. That's authentically yours. But I do think you have to have business flexibility, right, between the overall outcome that you're trying to get for people that can help you shape it. And so that's how I think about things when whether it's starting a new company, whether it's being successful with a client, right, whether it's coaching someone. I want to know their vision. My job is to help them with tips and tricks of how to get there.
Yeah. And, feedback can be tough. Feedback. Look, I don't like to get negative feedback. And sometimes I'm arrogant enough to know in the topic that I don't want feedback at all. Like I'm the expert. I don't want your feedback. But
I'm laughing because it's funny, but also true.
It just depends on the look. You have a vision. You want to bring a book to life. There are ways to circumvent feedback that you don't like. You can self-publish. It's complex. It's not overly complex, but it's like any business decision. You need to have thought it through.
Here's another thing that I'd share with folks. And I work with a lot of executives with high octane personalities. And so feedback is sometimes a challenge with really, really bright folks. I'm going to give you information that I think is valuable to you. You get to decide if you accept it or not, but you at least need to be open to hearing it. And those great ideas usually are going to be easier to accept when you just open yourself to hearing it.
Yeah. So BobBatchelor.com, DonaldThompson.com. You can follow us on LinkedIn. We would love to help. We would love to continue the conversation. We have a motto. Okay. So I'm going to let you in on a secret. We have this creative partnership. We're going to do some pretty amazing things. Do cool shit with cool people. That's our motto. And we get asked this question about how to write a book so much that we had to do this.
That's right.
We've been kicking this around for a little bit, and the exponential growth of, hey, how do I do this?
That's right.
So we love the fact that you're here. We love to connect, and this has been great fun. I love the topic. Clearly, I'm a total nerd for publishing and writing.
Well, one thing Bob said that I won't forget is he said, I'm obsessed with the creative process. And for those people that get to do what you love, and Bob, I'm so excited for you and your new journey. Well, you've been a professor before, but you're entering academia again. Just seeing that pep in your step is awesome. And then it also frees up some time for us to do some fun stuff, which is cool. The last thing I would say to folks is if we can help you, let us. If it's not us, we'll point you in the right direction. But we're really doing this more of a give back and hopefully to meet some other great folks that are doing cool things. And we'd love to hear from you in any way we can be supportive. We'd love to do that. And just like Bob said, we take calls with folks all the time. We'll let you know the difference between free and fee. Don't worry about that, right? But there's no cost for a cup of coffee, especially a virtual one. Mm-hmm. And then we get to know folks and help them chase their dreams, just like was done for us.
Yep.